Stories shape our lives. The way we tell those stories shapes who we think we are and the world we live in. They have an impact on how we think and feel, how we relate to ourselves, and how we relate to others. Depending on the way we narrate those stories, they can hinder us or help us to conjure new possibilities for ourselves and the world around us. When we become mindful of the stories we are telling, we become more conscious of the process of storytelling that is happening between our ears. Comparative mythologist Joseph Campbell coined the term the hero's journey, which highlights the common themes present in the stories throughout the history of mankind. Many of the hallmarks of these stories inform much of what we will explore as we discuss what we call mindful storytelling. Mindful storytelling can help us to realize that we are not just the stories that arise. We are also the conscious awareness that lights up those stories. With each new perspective we develop, we begin to access greater levels of freedom and flexibility with how we use and relate to the stories we tell.
But what exactly is mindful storytelling? Mindful storytelling is about becoming more conscious of this process of storytelling that happens between our ears. So we notice the stories we are telling ourselves about ourselves and about others. Mindful storytelling can then go deeper than just that. It can help us realize we are not just the stories that arise. We are also the conscious awareness that lights up those stories. To help you to gain insights into the stories you tell yourself, we don't only offer insights from the ancient art of mindfulness. We also draw from the modern science of acceptance and commitment therapy, also simply called ACT. ACT is recognized and recommended by the World Health Organization. ACT not only incorporates the value of being present, but has also discovered mental and emotional well-being flourishes when we learn about our transcendent self, get clear about our values, and take action to make our lives rich and meaningful. This approach is an ideal match for us to delve deeper into understanding the hero's journey. Mindful storytelling is ultimately about self-transformation. But our personal transformation is far-reaching. As Marianne Williamson said, personal transformation can and does have global effects. As we go, so goes the world, for the world is us. The revolution that will save the world is ultimately a personal one. So, let's explore the 12 steps of the hero's journey in the light of the art and science of mindfulness and ACT.
Step 1 of the hero's journey: ordinary world. When was the last time you were truly in the moment and not caught up in your thoughts about the past or future, but actually living in the present? Chances are you are familiar with the term autopilot. When you do routine activities mindlessly rather than with full awareness, you're doing the same old thing again and again. Existing habits dominate your actions. You're fully inside your comfort zone and aren't challenged at all. The ordinary world can be described as living on autopilot. You react unconsciously rather than respond consciously to everyday life. You have the same arguments, you go to the same places, and spend time with the same people. You are sleepwalking through life.
Step 2. The call to adventure. You are suddenly faced with a challenge. Sometimes these choices are tiny and seemingly insignificant, but at other times they can be the start of a life-changing journey. This is most often an external challenge. It can be something small, like having to do a new piece of work that you've never done before. Or it can be a bigger challenge, like being faced with a serious illness, a relationship breakdown, or even a death in the family. Internally, this can show up as fear, stress, anxiety, or depression, and very uncomfortable feelings may arise. Externally, the world is forcing you out of your sleep, and some mindfulness naturally arises. You realize something new is being called upon you.
Step 3. The refusal of the call. The moment to rise to the challenge is upon you, but you are in denial of the challenge you face. Why? Because it's much easier to deny and ignore rather than face up and take action. It's understandable. You respond to the challenge with your old story of who you are and what you can achieve. However, this old story isn't able to offer the motivation and willingness to face up to this new challenge. Something needs to change, and you need help.
Step 4. Meeting the mentor. You may have heard the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. When you're open and ready for it, your mentor will appear to help you start your journey through the challenge. Other people aren't the only form of a mentor. Almost anything can be your teacher with the right attitude and the right perspective. It could be a book, a quote, or an aspect of nature. Even meditation can be your mentor. If your mentor is a person, trust grows between you and they help give you the skills and courage. But the mentor does not walk for you. You have to take that step yourself.
Step 5. Crossing the threshold. We all have moments in our lives when we are faced with a choice that will change the course of our future. This is the choice you have made to try something new. At this point, you've decided it's worth feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Doubt does not disappear, and you may often ask yourself, can I really do this? You sense that after this, there's no turning back. You need to be willing to make space for fear to arise within you as you step from your ordinary worldview into the unknown. This stage often gives you a mixture of fear and excitement.
Step 6. Tests, allies, and enemies. One challenge leads to another, and you are tested in ways that make you want to give up. You realize you're in a new world now, with new rules. You may have not been expecting so many challenges, and that can feel scary. But that's just the way things work. When faced with more challenges, you see the need to actively seek out support. You begin to build a support group of allies for your journey ahead. But there will seemingly be enemies too. Again, like your mentor, your allies may not only be people, but could be your attitudes, your values, and more. Seeking support is an act of humility. Without that humbleness, you can find yourself getting stuck here.
Step 7. Approach to the inmost cave. This is sometimes experienced as the dark night of the soul. Things are getting harder rather than easier, and many of the doubts and fears that first surfaced upon your call to adventure are confronting you again. You continue to keep going by putting in more and more effort, but you can't see the point. Your mind or ego will do its best to persuade you to stop. You'd love to run away, but there seems to be nowhere else to go. And as the magnitude of your decision is becoming clearer, you fight on.
Step 8. The Ordeal. Your challenges reach a new depth, deeper than you could ever have imagined. You can't go any further. Why? Your sense of who you are needs to die for you to be reborn. You're facing a peak of both fear and possibility, death and rebirth. In some sense, you have to let go and trust. The old approach of running away and fighting will just not work here. You've tried that. At this pivotal point, your old story of who you are dies. And in that vacuum, a new story is born.
Step 9. Reward. The story of your old self and its limited capability has died, and you have now discovered that you're part of something much bigger. You control a little less and trust a little more. Internally, you realize you don't have to keep running from the thoughts and feelings you don't like and holding on to the ones you do like. You see them for what they are, just thoughts and feelings. You see them as moments, understanding that they are perpetually changing. And then there is you behind them, as the observing self. Your passing thoughts and feelings are no longer your dictator.
Step 10. The road back. The road back is where you begin your return back to some normality. Crippling fear and stuckness are replaced with feelings of accomplishment, acclaim, and even vindication of your decision to commit to crossing the threshold. You meet the world as a changed person with deeper insights. Challenges do keep coming, but they are much easier to navigate with this new understanding of who you are and how to meet them. This may be the time for some rest and some celebration.
Step 11. Resurrection. Challenges don't just stop. There may be yet another challenge to face. You apply your new learnings and sense of self to this challenge, knowing that this journey is no longer just your own, and that the effects of every challenge you surmount ripples out and impacts others in positive ways. This new understanding helps you to successfully navigate the challenge and confirms that your old sense of who you are, your old story, is no longer useful at all. You are fully vested in this new way of being.
Step 12. Return with the Elixir. You return home as a hero of your journey, not a victim. You pass on your newfound wisdom through either your sense of being or explicitly through teaching, coaching, or some other way. When you share your wisdom and insights with others, you are helping to create a more enlightened world, and you are giving others the opportunity to learn from your example and grow as individuals. Your willingness to share is an act of kindness, and you may yourself become aware of the mentor that you have become. In this new reality, you may choose to take on bigger challenges to make the world a better place, but only if it is aligned with your values.